If your team is constantly feeling drained, putting in the hours, but the output isn't what you hope it to be, and people are looking lethargic, getting tasks done slowly, and just looking exhausted, then this video is definitely for you. Because I want to talk about something that most leaders and managers don't even think about when it comes to energy at work. And in this video, we're going to look at the different types of energy that people need to manage themselves and that organizations need to help teams manage, but also how to manage it. But before we do that, I want to tell you a quick story about someone who wasn't managing their energy efficiently at work. Now, a business contact of mine was going through an extremely busy period in their working life. They'd stay late, they'd often work 12-hour days or sometimes more. And throughout this period, they were extremely stressed and exhausted every single day. And as a result, sometimes they'd end up just sitting at their desk doing nothing. They were at work in theory, but realistically, they wasn't getting anything done because they were so exhausted and their energy had depleted. And this had a knock-on effect to their mental health. They started to become extremely stressed, extremely exhausted, and not wanting to continue in their job role. And this led them to quit. And according to Deloitte's mental health report, 61% of employees who left their job said it was because of poor mental health. And when we look at what's really going on in most of these cases, it's because those individuals weren't given the tools to manage their energy effectively while at work. And I want to make a clear distinction that helps you understand why managing energy is more important than you think. Now, there's only so many hours in the day, and no organization or leader or manager can create more of them. But energy, on the other hand, is different. If managed well, we can replenish our energy very effectively. A person working 6 hours can get more done than someone working 10 hours. Not necessarily because they're a better employee or because they're more skilled, but because they know how to manage their energy effectively. And most organizations focus entirely on time. Are my team putting in enough hours through busy periods? Are they staying late to get the work done? But the better question is, does my team have the energy to complete these tasks right now? Because if they don't, the work will be shoddy, they won't enjoy it, and it will negatively impact their well-being, how they feel, their mental health, increasing the chances that they might look for another job. So I want to look at 3 types of energy that you must help your team protect in order for them to do their best work. And the first I'm talking about is physical energy. Now, I'm not talking about making sure people have exercise routines or eat specific things. While those things help, there are other ways that we can manage our physical energy while at work. I want to focus on the basics, the simple things that people can do while at work to help support them. Are they staying hydrated throughout the day? Are people moving throughout the day? Or are they stuck in one position for long periods of time? Are they physically feeling up to it? So what can organizations do to help protect physical energy for their teams and their people? Now, one of the best methods is education. Sometimes people just lack the basic education of how to support their physical well-being and physical energy while at work. Something as simple as going for a walk directly after lunch helps to boost energy, boost endorphins, and means that when we come back to work, we don't necessarily have that afternoon slump. Or something like staying hydrated. Dehydration is a massive contributing factor to low energy. Now, although education is fantastic, education needs to be implemented with systems and methods and frameworks to help people stick to it. So what policies do you have that allow people to look after their physical well-being and physical energy? For example, not eating lunch at your desk, ensuring people get up from their desk and go and eat lunch elsewhere. Sitting in one position for long periods of time does not protect our physical energy. And if people aren't feeling good physically, this can have a knock-on effect to their mental energy. So let's look at this in more detail. Did you know that employees spend approximately 11 hours a week in meetings? And if they don't have the mental capacity for these meetings, it can massively impact their energy. Mental energy is like the capacity to think about problems. Think about problem solving. Focus on specific tasks. Make good decisions throughout their working day. And if the mental energy of people is not being supported, this can result in bad decisions, lack of focus, and the inability for people to think clearly. Our mental energy gets depleted because of a range of different things, but one of them is context switching. If we're constantly switching between tasks, it slowly drains our mental energy. If we get pulled into one meeting about one topic and then another meeting about another topic, we're having to context switch and think about the different things in each meeting, draining us even more. And when this happens over and over again, people begin to get exhausted. People like to have time to focus. It helps protect their energy and it helps them get on with the tasks that they need to do. And research backs this up. Approximately 68% of employees say they don't have enough uninterrupted focus time during their working day. They're busy with whatever task they're doing, which means they can't focus and go deep on one particular task. And when people can't focus, the quality of work suffers. So how do we help people support their mental energy at work? Now, there's a whole range of things we can talk about that I'm not going to have time to go into in this video, but here are a few things. First, help people get clear on their priorities. When everything feels urgent, people spend their time switching between tasks and often making no real progress on any of them. In your weekly team meeting, it could be as simple as, what are the most important tasks you need to get done this week? When are you going to prioritize them? And then giving those team members and those employees the space to actually get on with their job. And a great way to do this is using a tool like the Eisenhower Matrix. And if you haven't heard of it, I've got a video on this which I'll link to at the end. Now, the third type of energy we must protect in teams is emotional energy. And this is one most organizations overlook. Emotional energy is about how people feel about their work and the people they work with, whether they feel valued, whether they feel supported, whether the relationships in their team genuinely feel safe. When emotional energy is high, people bring their best selves to work. I have a business contact who had really poor emotional energy at work because their manager was micromanaging them every second. This didn't make them feel good. This didn't make them feel valued. This didn't make them feel supported. It did the complete opposite. And the sad thing about poor emotional energy is that sometimes leaders and organizations have no understanding why. They might often think that employee or person is not motivated or just not engaged, when really it's because they've got an emotional problem that hasn't been dealt with. So how do companies protect people's emotional energy? Again, there's so many different ways that we can do this, but we're just going to talk about two. And the first is recognition, specific recognition to people to help them feel valued. When people feel valued, their emotional energy is higher. When they feel valued, they feel willing and wanting to get on with the job and do their best work. And the second thing is to check in on people and their workload. Ask them, how are they getting on with their workload? This not only gives leaders and managers information about the workload that their team members are getting on with, but it also shows the team member and the employee that you care. You're checking in on them. It helps them feel valued and supported. And they may say, I'm really stressed out this week. My workload is crazy. Okay, how can I support you? And what's interesting about people having a lack of energy is that sometimes individuals only realize how unproductive they've been once it's been pointed out. When I've been on workshop delivery, someone might have said, do you know what? I've been working 12-hour days to get this piece of work done. And I say, okay, but how many of those hours were productive? And they sit there quietly and think, well, actually not many. And a lot of the time, it's better to take a rest, protect your energy, so that when we do work, we're working. And the organizations that support their people with regular education, regular training and workshops, and regular support are the ones that reduce sick days, reduce people quitting, and have better, more productive teams. And if that's something you want to explore, head to the first link in the description box and get in touch and see how I can help you educate and support your team to protect their energy while also being extremely productive. Now, I mentioned earlier the Eisenhower Matrix, and this is a fantastic method to help protect our energy. But to understand how it works, you need to watch this video here, which will give you all the specifics and a free tool that you and your teams can use to ensure that you protect your energy. But remember, a happy workforce is a productive workforce.